What a spectacle yesterday was. It starts off with a tremendous address from Pierre Poilievre on Flag Day to rebrand and relaunch the Conservative campaign as we move into likely an election season upcoming here soon. Delivered with power, energy, excitement, and a vision that people can get behind. It was something to behold. Then follow that up with one of the craziest, most anticipated games in about at least 10 years. Canada, USA, best on best, political tensions in the air, 51st state this, retaliatory tariffs that, and the anthem was booed right from the get. We line up for the face-off, and the game starts off with 3 fights right off the get. You want to tell me that sports and politics are not intertwined? Give me a break. We just witnessed it happen on the ice last night. And it was amazing to watch. Yes, it stinks that Canada lost, but they'll likely take care of Finland, and we'll see a rematch in Boston, which will be very entertaining. And I'm sure the Americans will return the favor as they should. But as I said, it was a spectacle. Donald Trump making the Canadian-American rivalry great again. Let's be honest. If there's no 51st state rhetoric, this is still awesome. It's still great. It's still fun to watch. But baby, you know that the only reason that this game started off with 3 fights is because that stinking anthem was booed. You have to know that. Absolutely crazy. As I said, spectacle. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to admit it is cinema. But today, I definitely want to get into the Poilievre rally to a degree. There's a couple points he made that I thought were really important. I think we should highlight. I'm not going to break down the whole thing. I think the pleb is actually planning to do a full breakdown of it. If you're interested, I'd suggest go watch him. I think that it'll probably be very entertaining, especially coming from him. But my goal is to kind of touch on the core of the message, the core of what was talked about, the excitement that was created, and getting into the nitty-gritty of how this is going to impact the campaign moving forward. But before we do that, I just have to take the time to shout all you homies out who, as I said, don't get it. I appreciate it. Just the one-time donations are just phenomenal. Shout out Tracy. Shout out Andy. Shout out Michelle, who is donating on behalf of her father, Mike, who, as she says, hey, Josh, if you could give my dad, Mike, my 79-year-old Italian dad, a shout out, it would make him so happy. He watches you every day and loves it when you get passionate about things. All the best to you guys. Thank you, Mikey P. We love it. We appreciate it. As someone who's half Italian, I can appreciate the love. Let's go. Thank you so much for watching. Jim says, awesome job, guys. Very thorough and positive in a negative world. That Terry Fox commercial should remind us all of what Canada is really representing. We have to put Terry back on our passports and maybe even add the truckers. Thanks for that. Marika says, thank you for the truth, facts, and real journalism. Roger says, keep up the great work. I always look forward to your perspectives and insights. Only wish more people watched your segment. And hey, me too. And that's how it goes. But thank you all so much. And I always want to take the time to acknowledge you amazing viewers. And anyone who does donate moving forward, I definitely am going to give you the option if you want to be shouted out or not. If you donate and PayPal will give you the option to put a message in, just let me know. Hey, don't bother. I'm not interested in my name being tied to politics. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll happily respect that. But anyways, thank you all so much. Let's jump into the story. As I said, yesterday was a spectacle. You had Justin Trudeau sitting in the lower bowl. You had Pierre Poilievre sitting up in the nosebleeds, and you had this brother over here. Oh, you can't even see my mouse, but you see that brother on the far right just being like, who the heck is this guy? What is happening? Am I in this photo? You had Poilievre up there. Then you had Mark Carney sitting in a pub somewhere here in Canada with half drinking beer. He's got his Canadian jersey on, representing, and everyone was cooking him for his Coors Light glass. We all know, you've probably been to enough pubs and seen exactly how that all works. They'll give you a glass. The glass they give you doesn't exactly mean that's the beer you have in it. However, everyone made sure to light them up on this one. Drinking a Coors Light, you're drinking American beer. Okay, you think you're Canadian, huh? You've been out of the country for 10 years and you're drinking American beer? Everyone lit him up. You can see all the comments up and down this thing, lighting him up for that. Holy jumping. As I said, spectacle. You have Trudeau sitting in the lower bowl, which is very representative of who he is and what he's been all about. And you have Poilievre sitting up in the upper bowl, which is supposed to be representative of what he's all about. Again, politics, everything is calculated. Whether you like them or hate them, it is all calculated. Poilievre made sure to be sitting up the nosebleeds as the good fiscal conservative he is. And Trudeau, at this point, he doesn't really care how he's viewed. He's on his way out, and he's going to sit in the lower bowl with his son. But he wanted to make sure his moment was singing the national anthem that he claims to love so much, loud and proud. He's divided this country so much, but when the time was right and Trump came a-calling, all of a sudden he was the poster child for Canadian nationalism. So we know the Liberals are chanting and chomping at the bit of fake nationalism to be able to maintain power. Well, we'll show you what real patriotism looks like. Poilievre did a fantastic keynote at the rally yesterday. Lots of great points. You can pick so much of it apart. But the part I really want to pick on was near the end. He hit on all the right things. He hit on how we're going to address this U.S., or how we're going to address the fentanyl issue, how we're going to deal with our borders, how we're going to deal with increasing paychecks, how we're going to deal with the economy. Like, he hit all the points. And for me, someone who, you know me, wasn't a huge fan of the dollar for dollar tariff stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. I know that that's what the climate is in the country right now, and he kind of has to play to that, because if you look on the mainstream media, that's really the only thing they posted about from Poilievre's speech was his stance against America. So it's how the game is played. It sucks, but that's just the reality, and that's the one thing they picked up, and he unfortunately had to kind of play to that, which, again, not a huge fan of myself, but I understand that's the temperature of the country, and it is what it is. They're going to try their best to pin him as the next Trump, and so he's just trying to take that piece off the chessboard, which I get. Not a fan, but it is the reality, and it's the game we play. But the piece I did like was him calling out the Liberals for the hypocrisy that they spew, and that conservatives are the real ones who are going to fix the issues that are broken. It's not going to be the Liberals, because the Liberals created them. And it was just recently that all of a sudden they got interested in addressing the issues that he's been talking about for the past 3 years. And just a heads up, I just sped it up like just a hair because I just want to get this in as much as possible, as well as to watch all of this.
40 milligrams is enough to kill 20 people. We will lock up and throw away the murderers who are killing our families. More important than what I will do is why I will do it. You know, it shouldn't have taken President Trump to get the Liberals to wake up that there's a fentanyl crisis in this country. I'm not doing this for him. I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this so that there's not one more Canadian parent that has to collapse on the ground on learning that their child has died in a back alley somewhere. We must reinvest in treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. And so my message to those who are struggling with addiction is this: hang on, have hope. Help is on the way.
Spot on messaging. That is one thing we've been talking about, right? Where there's been a lot of like Trudeau bad or Carney bad coming from the Conservatives. It was nice this address hit all the right points, where he addressed the issues and the problems that are there, which we recognize are there. But he also does a great job of laying out a positive vision for the future and how he would like to address it. And we know the Conservatives have been really slow to kind of show their hand or show what they would do different, even though the Liberals are begging, please, Poilievre has no policies, this, all that BS. And you know he was keeping it close to the chest only because you knew they were going to steal all his policies. And that's exactly what they've done up to this point. At this point, we saw it happen before the pro-augment, but then we saw it just completely so egregious happen during this Liberal leadership campaign. Freeland and Carney have both adopted the axing the carbon tax situation, which we know is absolute BS. And they talk about how they're trying to rebuild the economy and how they want to invest in the economy. It's just really kind of funny how it just appears to be so very fake. Since they've been in power for the past 9 years, all of a sudden they have all these ideas of how they're going to fix it. Okay, got it. And that is the cool part about this messaging is, yes, the drug issue is a serious problem and we want to fix it. And those who are struggling, we want you to have hope. That help is indeed coming. So that was great. That was the first part. Second part, though, is how he finished this address. It was a great, amazing crescendo to the end to instill hope in a broken Canadian people that we can be better, we will be better, and we will stand on our own 2 feet.
It will not be easy. We may have very hard days ahead. But I have a question. Do you think making Canada was easy? No. Do you think it was easy for the Inuit to sleep in homes of snow, pull dinner out of the icy waters, and survive thousands of winters in minus 45? Do you think it was easy to drive the spikes into the Canadian Pacific Railway, into the frozen ground, through the rock, muskeg, and mountains, Chinese laborers, under brutal conditions, forge a ribbon of steel that unites east to west. Do you think it was easy? For the Canadian teenagers living in frozen, rat-infested trenches only to run out towards flying metal to attack and beat the Germans in World War I as their sons and daughters would again do in World War II? Do you think it was easy for Terry Fox's cancer-ravaged body to run across our land, pounding his one and only leg again and again on lonely highways with chipped bones and blistered limbs to fight the disease that would later take his life? No, none of this was easy. Making Canada was hard. Those are the people who built and defended our country through sacrifice and struggle, but they did not go that far and travel that long so that we could take the easy way out and give up. Like them, we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We are in this together. We are at this place in this time because we have a job to do, to pass on intact what we inherited from those who came before us to those who come after us, because our country is worth fighting for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, always and forever. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
What a way to end that. And that is such a great point that he made. We've talked about it on the show a few times, but what has been broken and what we've witnessed over the past 10 years is certainly not going to be easy to clean up. And it's going to take all of us. We can't look to a politician to help us fix it. It's going to take all of us. And I know the joke has been made a lot, especially with those in the new media, is, if a conservative wins, all of our views are going to drop like crazy because everyone's going to be checked out, which that's human nature. That will happen. We will see that to a degree. But there's going to be so much work to do. As I'm witnessing what's happening south of the border with Trump and all the executive orders they've been doing and how they're still trying to attack and making sure they're stifling him, there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done. We're going to still need to cover it. We're going to need to still hold Pierre to his promises. We're still going to need to fight off the BS rhetoric and propaganda that will still come out to try and stifle the change that we want to see made in this country. That will happen. And this is a great speech addressing that very issue. It gave a very similar vibes to don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. We are building something bigger than ourselves. It's all going to take all of us. And it's going to take all of us to speak against the BS. It's going to take all of us to call out our corrupt politicians. It's going to take all of us to have a hand in our community to take care of our neighbors. It's going to take all of us. And that is the message that he left us with. It's an inspiring one. It's one that should get you up in the morning. It's one that should excite you. It's one that should restore hope that has been so quickly stolen over the past 10 years by this corrupt and evil government. Canada first, baby. Canada first. Now, let's juxtapose this. With Mark Carney being on a podcast with all his rich buddies, launched yesterday morning, bragging about this.
My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things done. I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or a globalist, to use that term, which is, that's exactly, it happens to be exactly what we need. My weakness as a politician is I've not been a politician, right? So I didn't go straight into, as you observed, the killer. The point was right, but the delivery was, I'm working on it.
He said it out loud. He said, my biggest weakness, that some would say, was that I'm a globalist and I'm an elitist. But that's exactly what we need. We need more of this. Guy has been out of the country for 10 years. Has done jack for the country over the past 10 years, except for steal from us and siphon taxpayer dollars to his family of companies. Believe it or not. I believe it's 46 green government projects that are P3 for Brookfield specifically. 46. Your taxpayer dollars going to his companies. Okay. Got it. But that's how I'm saying. Juxtapose that. Between Poilievre's message of hope, of we can build something together, a country that can stand on its own 2 feet, versus a guy who literally just bragged about being a globalist and being elitist and saying that's what we need. They're not even trying to hide it now. Openly admitting it, that that's what Canada needs. Funny enough that they're relying on nationalism to fight against Trump, but globalism is what we need. Got it. Understood. Got it. This goes back to my point. Was as we've seen these polls go up and down, and we're seeing the Liberals getting this like Carney push that they're getting at the moment. I've been very, very clear about this. I take the Stephen A. Smith, and if you don't know Stephen A. Smith, he is a sports journalist, sports TV show personality in the States, and he's famous for ripping on the Dallas Cowboys. And he calls them the accident waiting to happen. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong for this team, and they will never win a championship. And I take that mentality and I apply it to this Liberal Party and to Mark Carney's race. He made me nervous when I first saw him come out, especially the way he performed very well on The Daily Show. Then I started hearing him in his speeches and the policies he's enacting or wanting to enact. And then I heard him pressured just a couple times, pressured by journalists, and he folded like a cheap suit. I was like, oh, he is an accident waiting to happen. As I said with Reg on the show, they've been hiding him purposely because he is literally an accident waiting to happen. He slips up all the time because he's not a regular person. He's a billionaire who is so out of touch with the regular person. So that's what I'm saying. He's going to slip up. He's going to trip up. He's going to lose his popularity and this boost that he's received, or perceived boost that he's received. Poilievre, I do believe, will last the quote-unquote expiry date. He'll move past this. This is just a bump in the road. But the more Carney talks, the more he discusses, the more interviews he gets on, he's an accident waiting to happen. I would say he's a smarter version of Trudeau. I still believe that. But he's a gaffe machine. Also, like Justin Trudeau. So that's why I say to all of you, when you hear the left getting so pumped about Carney, all I say is be patient. This man will 100% bury himself before an election comes in the next 60 days. I don't know if you caught that part of Poilievre's speech either, but he's expecting that to happen as well. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.